Good afternoon, everybody. As always, my name is JC, and welcome to my channel, Every Man's Thoughts. After all the waiting and all the hype, the first episode is finally here. This video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the first episode, please hit that subscribe button and come back later. Otherwise, let's get started. Although I like the episode as a whole, the opening scene was so bad it may have been the worst I've ever seen to start a series. I have no idea what they were trying to accomplish, maybe set the tone for the world or establish the Aes Sedai, but it came off as the worst kind of sermonized, sanctimonious Hollywood feminism. This is why fans have overtly negative reactions to buzzwords like strong female characters, because they've been conditioned to know that those are just code words for bad and lazy writing. In a world of characters like Moiraine Damodred, don't be some cheap knockoff that would embarrass Xena fans. What's worse is because that scene immediately preceded the introduction to Egwene's storyline, it likely tainted the feelings or perception people had for an actually well-written, interesting female character. Egwene has one of my favorite story arcs in all of the books, and after seeing the trailers I was concerned that her character would fall victim to that lazy, tropish writing I mentioned earlier. I was quite pleased to see that didn't happen. In fact, by contrast, her story's been the best one so far. Despite the fact we're only in episode 1, credit to actress Madeline Madison and the writers for giving us a deep, three-dimensional character facing a problem that has some gravity to it. This is what people want when they say, give us good female characters, not contrivances that are there simply to proselytize a message like we saw in the opening scene. Now, Egwene had pretty good character development, but we didn't get that for all of the characters, and that's to be expected because as they announced, they have to do some consolidation. Again, the writers of the show showed some skill with some cheap but effective manipulation. Perrin has a wife and then accidentally kills her mid-combat. This is how they will justify him being uncomfortable with his own size and physicality, which was present throughout the books. They added likability to Matt's character, but yeah, he's a rogue and a scoundrel, but he's only doing it to take care of two younger siblings because his parents are degenerates. As I said, both of these were manipulation, but they worked and they fit the time constraints the show's working with. For me, the most notable omission would probably be Rand returning to Emond's Field with his father and hearing his father's fever dreams about his mother. There were other ancillary characters that got shorted as well, but again, there's only so much screen time we have, and so we have to expect some of these sacrifices. I also want to highlight the decision of the showrunners to age up the characters from the original source material. A while back, the decision was made to make the characters a little bit older, that way the series didn't have a young adult feel, and in hindsight, that looks like a brilliant decision. One of the more notable instances of this was the relationship between Rand and Egwene. By making them a little bit older, the natural inclination of the viewer is to take their relationship a little more seriously, thus making Egwene's decision more impactful. Like many other things, I would like to have seen more time dedicated to this relationship, but they did an excellent job considering the time budget that they had to work with. I want to talk about the actors for a little bit. Anytime you have a new series, particularly one focused on younger people, you're going to have a lot of fresh faces and unknown commodities. With that on my mind, I have to say the acting quality was a pleasant surprise, particularly Madeline Madison playing Egwene and Barney Harris playing Matt. Both just had something about them that enhanced their character and increased my enjoyment. And if that's not high praise for an actor, I don't know what is. The last thing I want to talk about from my list of positives was the quality level of the production values. Emond's Field felt perfect. The characters looked as if they were in their natural environment and they belonged, and I doubt anybody was expecting the Trollocs to be that good. During the fight scenes, the choreography was better than expected as well. TV productions don't have the downtime to spend on this like movies do. So good choreography can often be a challenge, but they pulled it off. This naturally leads us into our lone negative, besides of course that atrocious opening. If you watched my previous videos, you know that I've often said that for me, the budget was an item of concern. Other productions had reportedly significantly higher budgets, whereas this show's was allegedly closer to the last season of Game of Thrones, but remember, that show had already paid for all of its expensive sets and whatnots. During the first episode, I did notice times where I felt the budget constraints had an impact, particularly in the fight scene. Although I did enjoy the fight scene and the Trollocs were well beyond my expectations, it felt like we were building to something big that never paid off, especially with Moiraine. When we reached that ultimate moment and she was weaving that beautiful spell, you were expecting something epic like just a fireball from the heavens, and the rock throwing was anticlimactic. Previous interviews with people involved in the show did mention that that type of CGI is problematic due to its heavy expense, and I'm sure that's what we're seeing here. Well, folks, I'm off to watch episode 2. I should have that review up this weekend, and I will see you next time.